Hi, everybody. It's Friday. It's Fangirl Friday. Welcome again to another edition of Fangirl Friday Live. I am Anita Castellar. I am the OG behind Fangirl Consulting and Brand Management. Welcome, everyone. Thank you again for spending your time with us. If you have been before and if you're new, welcome for the first time. You're in for a good ride. Hopefully, we will have some fun and drop some knowledge while we're at it. I want to bring in now to the conversation Derrick Baca, Liz DeSilva. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having
They
us.
are the dynamic duo from Loungefly. How is it?
It's pretty exciting. It's pretty fun. I mean, we've both been in the business for a decent amount of time, but this little adventure has been quite an experience so far.
Yep. Yeah. How are you guys surviving COVID?
Well, this house area is pretty much where we live 24/7. We go from a kitchen table to a couch to a bed. So pretty much throughout the day, maybe move about 20 total feet. But
we spend most of our time trying to make sure that the Loungefly team is like happy and healthy and functioning remotely so that we can keep the brand going strong and keep getting product out to our fans during this time.
I think in California, obviously we've had some of the stricter laws, some of the stricter enforcements, but we've learned how to run this business all remote. So, I mean, going forward, like just in terms of hiring and things like that, like you got to be open to a lot of different things now. So, I mean, remote is something that we're able to do, and it's probably going to be something that we're going to figure out how it's going to work in the future as well.
That's something that's really come up a lot. So Liz, you handle a lot of the creative side though. So how will that happen? Well, let's stop there. I'm going to ask you the question about creativity and hiring in a minute, but let's step back and actually have you guys introduce yourself. So Liz, since I was talking to you, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself, but also tell us your fandoms.
Okay. So I'm Liz. I'm the head of creative for all of Loungefly. My fandoms, I would say number one, just since like birth, I'm pretty sure, diehard fan, diehard, just completely obsessed. I think a lot of my personal style really was always inspired by Minnie Mouse. I love her iconic, bold looks, and I think about 25% of my closet can be turned into a Disney bound of her.
Wow.
Also huge Cinderella, Snow White, princess fan. And since meeting this one, I've definitely much larger Star Wars fan than I was before. So I would say, but hands down Disney, like just 100% obsessed. So
yeah. Where else did you work though before Loungefly?
So before Loungefly, I was at Hybrid Apparel along with Derrick. So I oversaw all of the female creative for Hybrid, and we did fast fashion for all the major studios: Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Universal, Warner Brothers. So yeah, and we sold to all retailers, everything from Walmart and Target on up.
Other companies before Hybrid, yeah?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've always worked, so my whole career I've always worked in apparel, but my career in licensing started at Hybrid.
Okay. All right. And so you said you met Derrick. So Derrick, tell us about your background.
So been in the business about 25 years. Yes, this is what it does to you.
It's all right. It's all right.
I know. Started in the 90s. I was a buyer at a company called Mr. Rags. It was an old hip hop company. Then from there, I went to Hot Topic. I was a buyer, an analyst, and a DMM. And then kind of did some consulting. Then I went to Hybrid about 10 or so years ago and kind of built their licensing division. My job actually was just licensing. And so I did that. And then joining Loungefly, I'm now more than anything like head of sales and business development, and I do a lot of financials. So I kind of am a jack of all trades at this company, and not just licensing. Licensing is a portion, but being a part of Funko, because Funko does own Loungefly, they do have a great licensing team that helps and partners with what we need to get done. So
I'll give Derrick a little love here. He's done a really amazing job helping Loungefly to like expand as a brand, right? So where Loungefly has been and what people know it for, he's always seen so much value in the brand and thought it could be so much more of a total lifestyle brand. So he's been really instrumental in getting us to the places that we want to be to expand the brand into other categories.
I think that's the biggest thing. Coming from retail, coming from wholesale, when you're in wholesale side, there are a lot of licensed manufacturers, people that just manufacture licensed products.
Right.
Being a part of a brand is so very different. I mean, there is brand equity and there's brand value. And with us, we are trying to be the high-end licensed kind of brand. So you go to retail, there's always going to be a price points and there's going to be things that like are kind of the middle range. We, on the other end, try to put as much quality into the product. So our price is a little bit higher, but because we're a brand, we can kind of hold that.
Well, I think our fans expect that. I think the fans look to Loungefly to put those extra details, to put that extra quality and more telling. And I think they hold us accountable, right? Like if we put something out that's not to that quality, they'll be the first to let us know. So the team really focuses on making sure that that's always front of mind, that we're doing a product that is what our fans have come to know Loungefly for.
Yeah, a lot of our fans be like, they always send us on Instagram or social media, is this a knockoff? Is this a Loungefly or is it not? We always tell them, you know what, look for the plaque. There's metal and there's faux leather plaques. Now on the backs of our straps, we're going to have little rivets that are going to have crowns on them. So you'll know exactly what's going to be an official Loungefly product versus a lot inspired bag. So, but the Loungefly is not going to be a one-trick pony. We are going to be a full-on licensed lifestyle brand.
So how do you guys have having your own fandoms though, you know, kind of inform your decision making? There's a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to touch on by your, like the brands and the fandoms and, you know, how you guys have curated that a little bit with Loungefly. But really, I think it probably starts with you internally, inherently being fans of brands, whatever it is, and maybe, you know, curating or creating the things that you really always wanted for yourself. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I think one of the great things about Loungefly is the customer base is not just a teeny tweeny customer base, because it's like a higher quality. I mean, that span usually goes from that 18 to like up to like 55 years old. So resident nerds, and literally being in the licensing business since I swear two, I've been the last by cartoons and television, you know, like I am a nerd. I know so many useless quotes of every movie or cartoon anybody needs to know. So that really helps form, like, content is great. There's movies coming out, there's cartoons coming out, but they're like a lot of the partners we have so much content that we're thinking, remember that was on Lady and the Tramp? No one's done anything Lady and the Tramp for how long? Let's just throw a collection out there because no one's expecting it.
I think, like for me, when I'm designing, I think back to those movies, and if I'm working on Cinderella, my personal favorite scene is when all the mice are making a dress for Cinderella, and it's not just me, it's a lot of other fans that just love and gravitate towards that scene. So you take those things that you know are like near and dear to you, and you know there's other people that have that same feeling, and it's not just with Derrick and I, but like my creative team is amazing, and they're all fans of different things. So what's awesome is where I'm a huge Disney fan, we have people on the team that are like diehard Pokemon or anime fans, and people that are massive fans. So we always have someone to go to be like, would fans love this idea, or how do we push it further? Because what we never want to do is just be that style guide slap company. We want to offer something different and something more that really speaks to true fans.
We have some of the best artists in the industry, to be honest with you. And a lot of the licensor partners trust our artists. So we typically don't even use style guides. We use it as we like to create
like inspiration.
100%, because there's a lot of people that want to, you know, bite your style. So like, let them use the style guides. They'll try to do your silhouettes. They'll try to do all that stuff. But like, they can't knock us off on our art style and the different things and the fandom things that we bring. So if we do a backpack, you know what we're going to have in the back? We're going to have a quote that you wouldn't expect. There's always some sort of like
surprise and delight, right? Yeah.
Always with our stuff. And that's what we want to make sure we do. We are becoming a collectible accessory company because of that.
I don't think that that's possible if you don't have real fans working on the product. Like, you're not going to know the right things to do if you're not truly a fan. So I know that that's really the approach when we interview people for possible positions. It's really good to understand like what they're fans of, so that, you know, we know that they kind of understand our world and who we're designing for.
Well, it's interesting because I love the passion. I feel like it's whatever's in my head is like on the screen right now, because that's how I feel all the time. And that's how, you know, I've done licensing work or whatever. Like, I feel like it has to be inherently you don't have to be like the diehard fan of that property, but you have to understand at least the mentality that goes with it and what's important and what's the emotional hook. And one of the things that I think is also really important is that, you know, fandom and the things that we use nowadays to express our fandom, you know, those apparel pieces, or now your backpacks, or, you know, people used to have, you know, just statues or whatever it is, like that's expressing not only a part of yourself, but then now we're using it outward, right? It's a lifestyle. Now we're like showing each other our own fandoms, not vocally, but now almost like non-verbally. So we'll put it on, and if you know, you're sitting across the room and you see somebody that they're like a fan of something of yours, it's almost like, you know, like that nod and smile.
Being a nerd your whole life, like you're not cool. All of a sudden, like, you know, 40-something years later, all of a sudden it's cool to be a nerd. All right, I'm in.
Yeah, Bill Gates was way ahead of that. He knew that.
I think that part's great. We had a fan reach out on social the other day and call out an Easter egg that we had hidden a little grape soda bottle cap inside the cluster of balloons from Up, and no one had called it out yet, and we had hidden it in there, and it made my day because somebody like called it out and they're like, look what I found. And I think that's really awesome that people appreciate and find those things and see value in that, right? Because that's the fun part. That's the most important part, I think.
Yep.
Why do you think that so much of the fandom and things that we have worked on are now, you know, becoming mainstream? Why do you think that that's the trend?
I just feel that in this climate, people are grabbing onto things that make them happy, to be with you. And a lot of things that you grew up and you remembered, and like that little bit of happiness, like they're just like, I want to be proud about it. This was a good time in my life, whatever that was, and I want to express it.
But I also think, I totally agree with that, but I also think that if you look around now, there's a lot of movements, right? There's movements towards body positivity in a time where before people were, you know, kind of trained to think this is the right way to be and this is the right way to look. And we've definitely shifted or started to shift as a society to realize that that's not the case, right? And for people to embrace themselves. So while all of that is happening, and everyone is starting to hear this messaging that it's okay to embrace you the way you are, why wouldn't that in turn mean that it's okay to embrace what you enjoy and what your hobbies are? You don't have to be ashamed of it. You don't have to be dorky, because you know what? There's a million other people that think it's rad too. So embrace a piece of you, just like you would embrace, you know, whatever your hair color is or whatever body type you have. Embrace the things you truly love. Like, life's too short to worry about what anybody thinks about you. And I think people are really starting to think that way, which is awesome.
It feels like permission, right? Like it feels like we've given ourselves permission and everybody else permission to just do whatever makes you feel happy, as long as you're not infringing on somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, my last name is Baca. Okay, I've been called Chewie literally my Star Wars has been a part of my life, whether I've liked it or not.
Doesn't help you're really tall too.
You know, and I'm 6'6", so everyone's like a big Wookiee or whatever. But like, seriously, I wear that now as a badge. I got brothers and sisters and all that, and we're proud about it.
I think people sometimes out in public would kind of give me the once over, because anyone who doesn't really know me, I wear a little bit over the top outfits sometimes. I do some I do, you know. I
love your outfits of the days. Like, they're just so much fun to look at.
Guess who's the cameraman?
So whether my outfit is inspired by a theme that I like or a character that I like or whatever, I definitely in the past got a lot of looks. And I had coworkers though that always said, you know, there's other people out there that would appreciate that and would wear that also. So that always stuck with me. That people saw some value in the way I dressed and thought there were other people out there. And in the last few years, I have just connected all over social media with some amazing people that just embrace color and fandoms and fashion and love it. So it's amazing.
I mean, coming together, because world, whether I was wearing bow ties or whatever crazy colors, I mean, it's a force of nature at this point. And on Instagram, you'll see we match. I mean, even today, I mean, you know, like we have matching outfits, but this is what's
right.
I know we're going to talk about Stitch Shop, but like, this is like our dream come true of being able to actually do something together and have it be something we can do together.
Yeah, I mean, I really love it, the way you guys are really expressing yourselves. And I felt like it started about 10 years ago with Her Universe, you know, shout out to Ashley Eckstein, and kind of breaking down some barriers in fashion and making, what I love what she calls is geek couture, with her fashion show and, making it really feel fun. So like celebrating it, but also functional. There were some like really cosplay type, products that she would make, or there was some very subtle, I loved her like business attire blazers that she had made at one point, where you could wear your geekdom in different ways and it was still okay, right? And you could still show up, be put together, still have a lot of fun and flair, but yet, people are still going to take you seriously because you're still, put together and look really good and you're expressing yourself in a great way. So, I mean, you guys have kind of taken Loungefly. It feels like in the last few years, you guys have taken it really leaps and bounds forward. Not that I didn't love the product before.
In 1 year, January of 19, well, a year and a half. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really gone like, it was building its own fandom before. It's funny how Loungefly has built its own fandom, right?
100%. It's been around for 20 years. Like I knew the original owners and the things that they've done.
The longest startup ever.
Company. And we just, what we wanted to do was pay homage to that, but just take that fandom and just take it to the next, 20 years.
I don't think there was a better brand that we could have walked into and tried to jump in and help. I mean, the groundwork that was laid was awesome. They already had such loyal fans. So we've really just taken what was already there and expanded and ran with it. So yeah, we're very lucky to be able to jump in on this brand.
Yeah, and you guys have expanded to so many, various outlets. I'm sure that there's more to come, but not only like retail outlets, because I've seen, more and more products being, kind of shown at Disney parks or Disney shop or, other locations and retail locations, but also in product categories. So I want to talk a little bit about the pin business because that's like one of the new things. I know that that's Derrick's passion project, but also I really love it. But it reminds me, and I'm going to ask you about your inspiration about that. But for me, it reminds me of the pin trading at the Disney parks. But is that like a mashup of your all your loves as well?
100%. So like, Disney has always been like the king of pins. Like the pin trading and all that. Because my mom collected pins when I was a kid, and when
she has some amazing ones.
When we go to Disneyland, we would get the pins. So it was always something that like was just amazing. And I'm a collector. I got tons of action figures. I got
all of it.
But like on the pin stuff. And the thing is, though, Loungefly always did pins. But in the pin community, there's hard enamel and there's soft enamel, right? Mm-hmm. So in Disney parks, they use hard enamel. It's really high end in its quality. The stuff we do with soft enamel, it's not as bad. It's just, it's not as in the pin trading world, not as high quality as hard.
It's not as collectible. It's not as, it's not as tradable. Right. They have like, all the hardcore collectors have like, they consider,
right.
Oh yeah. You haven't seen my house. I have 1 million pins from like dating back from the 2000 celebration. So yeah, I have a bunch.
So my head was like, look, we already have the capabilities. We have the sourcing. Let's do what our brand is. Let's elevate it. Let's have the highest quality type of pins. And so when we first early started on, I remember going to Brian Mariotti, the CEO of Funko, and I had the idea. I'm like, look, Pop is great, and it's a huge fandom. It's globally known. Like, I like pins. How about you let us try to develop something here at Loungefly, and we'll partner and come out with them. And Brian's been great. And like literally, and we work close with Ben Butcher, who's the head of creative.
Yeah, I know Ben. He's great.
Yeah, and so like coming out, obviously it came out in the middle of a pandemic, and so it happens. But like so far, the feedback has been amazing. Got a couple here, obviously, but the Wall-E that we have. What the biggest thing that was most excited, and this is really Brian pushing us to do better. So we had so many different iterations, but what we did that's been a little bit different is because we're a bag company. We use a lot of different fabrications, all that kind of stuff. What we wanted to do is actually infuse our fabrics into these. So obviously we have a 3D head, right? So it pops out, comes out of you. But the hair is actually faux suede.
That's pretty neat.
Here is actually Saffiano faux leather. So it's not on every pin, but it's not even just the chase pins. We just want to have that, again, surprise and delight. Do something different in the market that hasn't been there. Even down to like the easy stand in the back.
Like an easel.
Yeah, literally looked at a picture frame. That's a great idea. Let's do that. Mm-hmm. So it's been super fun.
And I think
because then you can display your collection too. People who collect things also want to display them. So that's an opportunity for you to display your collection.
I think it's a great call out too. Is like we're saying that we were really lucky to come in and join Loungefly, but I think we're also really lucky to work for Funko because I've worked for a lot of different companies, and Funko definitely embraces innovation and creativity. And I've never worked for a company that you come in with an idea and they off the bat support it and want to see what comes of it and want to see you push it. So that's really invaluable because that doesn't happen to every company. And to see the things that have come from their support, I think is awesome. And I know all the Loungefly employees love that about Funko.
Yeah, I mean, when I go to my bosses, it's Brian and Andrew, like, hey, got this crazy idea. They're like, put it together, let me see it, it's good.
Right.
99% of the time, they're like, we love it, go ahead and try it. So like another thing that we did, like, because I obviously spend too much money on pins and like, they're beautiful, but like, we wanted to do something that was just a little bit higher end as well. And so I'm a big into like the boxes and collector boxes and all that kind of stuff. So what we did this year, we tried it small. So we were only making 500 pieces of these like limited edition pins.
Oh, wow. Robin Hood.
Yeah,
nobody gives Robin Hood any love.
This is coming out next week.
Next week, I think. Yeah.
So like, in addition to the packaging, to me, the packaging is just important as the pin. I'll show you a couple other ones. Like this is the Marvel one.
That's cool.
Like the packaging there.
This one's better.
This one's so much fun. Like the legs.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the die cut. So like what I wanted to always do too is not just the pin. I wanted to have, again, surprise and delight. So this actually is a pin in a pin. So you can actually have like the pin in the background.
They all move.
They all move or light up or something different. Now, and these only retail at $25. So in the pin world, to me,
that's accessible.
That's a killer deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been overwhelmingly successful. They don't even last more than 2 minutes on our website.
Yeah, I think we'd all like to say huge thank you to the pin community because they have like really latched onto our pins and given us so much support. So we love you, pin community. Thank you for putting the Loungefly pins into your world because we love making them.
Yeah.
So it's
So
awesome.
now
I bet you found some Loungefly fans who probably didn't think about also collecting pins, right?
100%, and vice versa. There's people that found about us in pin communities and didn't even know our bags. Right. So it's actually been great overall. Yeah. And then when you get into, it just goes next level.
So where does the inspiration come from though? I mean, you can say your own personal piece and what have you, but you always have to balance off the fandom, your personal passion with business. Cause in the end, that's what we do, right? We have, goals to make and bills to pay. So how do you balance all of that plus with the creativity and the inspiration?
So I think that it's pretty easy. We have so much intel from Loungefly, right? So we have all these accessories, we have selling on bags and designs and our social media. We connect with our fans every day. I know personally because I do it right now. And I actually love that part of it. Thanks to COVID, we've been down some staff. So I'm on there every day talking to fans, which is kind of actually a silver lining of everything that's been happening because I get to chat with them one-on-one and understand what aren't we covering that they love? We put out one Robin Hood bag and people overwhelmingly were like, finally, there's never any Robin Hood merch out.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite movie, by the way, for Disney of all time too. So
wow.
Oh yes.
Yes. So then that leads us to think, okay, cool. So we need to expand on Robin Hood in our line. When we're planning our pin calendar, we need to include Robin Hood. We look at selling like, hey, we had a great Fox and the Hound mini backpack and people the same way that there's not enough merch. So we take those things into account. We take anniversaries into account, things that our partners are going to be celebrating. And we love anniversaries because anniversaries are like a collectible moment anyway. And we love to make extra special products for those timings. So I think a lot of our learnings and our fan feedback really play into what we end up choosing. And
really being like the head of sales too, I see what is selling by retailer, by direct. So I'm actually the webmaster too. So I load all the product on the web. I manage that whole business too. So I'm seeing holistically, and we're also a global company because of Funko. So, we partner with our distributors in Japan or Australia, our actual partner Funko UK in all of EMEA and things like that. So like we have a broad scope coming from the last company that we sold apparel from mass to specialty and getting that kind of vision in view. Whereas Loungefly doesn't go into mass or mid-tier as a brand, but because we're part of Funko, we do go into Walmart and Target for Funko. So we'll design and develop those products that have Funko branding into those. So we do have a full scope of what is selling across all retail segments.
Do you think that there's or I should say, do you see a big difference between regionality, right? So like what's important being the global aspect that you're talking about, like, do you see that there's a huge difference between Australia, New Zealand versus EMEA versus North Carolina?
Yeah. So with Disney, not really. Disney is iconic. Everyone just wants everything Disney. Marvel, because just like Star Wars, Marvel, they all go through these kind of like flows. But like Marvel in like the UK and Japan is on fire. Yeah. It's crazy. They're asking for more and more, where we may not have as much on our core lines. We have to develop specific lines for them over there. With us, we're actually expanding our licenses. So we're learning a lot new too. So we've recently, become partners with Nickelodeon and Universal, more with Warner Brothers. So we're expanding our portfolio and getting that intel as well.
Mm-hmm. More global brands, you think?
So branded wise, Loungefly is tipping its toes into a bunch of different things, not just entertainment brands. Like we just our Coca-Cola collection. So that's our first entertainment brand.
Yeah, like a corporate brand.
Yep.
And we just launched MTV, which is an amazing collection on our website now. That's a new
one. The MTV's been coming back with like a resurgence, all those Viacom properties are really making a big comeback. BET and all those guys.
We definitely did like a very different collection for Loungefly. Kind of went outside the box. We did some different silhouettes, materials. It's really fun. It's very like MTV Spring Break, some throwback neon. So it's definitely something different. But what we don't want to do is ever like pigeonhole Loungefly. We want to try new things. We want to see what resonates with our fans. So you'll see that over the next year. You'll see a lot of new things. We have a huge horror collection coming out. Loungefly
horror is huge right now.
Yes, and they've been asking for it for years, and we finally
Universal Monsters, Beetlejuice.
I'm a Universal Monsters geek. Yeah. Like I love that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a huge niche market too. So that's why as we expand, we want to be a fandom company. Funko is a fandom company. We don't want to because Loungefly was very heavy in the Disney brands and Hello Kitty and things like that. So they're still very, very important to us. And we like being those homes, but we just want the community to know that we're a fandom brand, that we will support other things. We're even working closely with just artists. So we're doing something even different. So we're going to be partnering with a local artist here called Valfrey, and we're going to be developing that as a brand as well. So we're not just expanding different licenses. We're doing that. Plus, we are about to launch Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So, that's going to be a different fandom in itself because Funko also sells sports and things like that.
True.
So Loungefly today versus Loungefly tomorrow, next year, it's going to be very, very different.
Yeah, West Coast, we have Dodgers coming very soon.
That's cool. If you get into the NFL, remember your girl with Eagles, right? Philadelphia Eagles, that's my
Don't worry,
my team.
We got you. We can't say anything, but we got you.
Got it. Understood. Oh, wait, my contact is getting out of the way. So I love all of that. But, you have a very female demographic, yes or no? Because of the bags and the wallets. And so I don't want to pigeonhole anybody else.
Yeah, I would say that to our average fans, we would be considered kind of that ladies' handbag kind of company.
So we are expanding.
At retail, we're kind of more gender agnostic. We don't really... We have a lot of unisex. We don't know. We don't want to say we make lady handbags or men's handbags. We want to make fan bags.
Right.
So it comes down to the size of the silhouette. And as we expand categories, it does cross, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think we hear a lot of men on social that say like, hey, I saw your Captain America mini backpack. Is it okay for men to wear these? And our answer is always 100%. It's okay for everyone. They're not made, specifically towards one or the other. But what we did do is we looked at some of the styles that, we got more feedback from men about them, and we increased the size slightly. So we have we do a 10.5-inch mini backpack. We do 13-inch mini backpacks, which is like a large mini backpack coming that are more unisex vibes. So we're definitely trying to hear our fans and react to all of that feedback.
That's really great. I really, because I think that there was a lot of people who had their Merces or whatever word you want to use, right? They want to throw all their stuff in there. Phones are getting bigger.
Indiana Jones had one.
Hey, why not? I mean, I guess that's the new iteration of messenger bag, right? Like before where everybody had a messenger bag or something, and Supreme's got their kind of, their silhouette that is very iconic to them. That anybody can wear. I think that's pretty cool. And then still express your fandom. So I think that's really neat. So, you're saying you're also expanding categories. I love the pins. I love all of that. And then there's also Stitch Shop. So I know that that's your passion project. Tell us about how that came about and the inspiration behind it. And what is it?
So like we said, we have been in this industry for a while together, and we always, worked on more fast fashion. And in looking at, the landscape, we always felt like there was a bit of a white space out there. There was a little bit of fandom at like a better quality being done, but not to the extent of, what we thought there could be. So we had for years been kind of, just brainstorming on the side of what we would want to do. And I always wanted to do something that was a little more art driven. So a better quality fan apparel line that was more art driven, was less cosplay. It was really versatile. I always wanted to do something that was pieces that you could layer, that you could dress up, that you could dress down, that was like quality stuff. The zippers won't break. You can have it in your closet for a long time and wear it a bunch of different ways. And I always wanted to make sure that we did something really size inclusive. So things that were in my head and in Derrick's head. And
we've been fans of like Dapper Day and that.
Oh yeah.
For so long. And I've loved bow ties and dressing up and all that. She's the same way. So in the market, really, there was her universe that was always more cosplay kind of directed. You have like your Disney dress shop that is more traditional type of, vintage.
Like vintage style.
We kind of there's this middle ground of fandom fashion that's high end, but it's not cosplay and it's not so traditional. So it's like a modern kind of twist to it. Yeah. And so that's why, literally driving back from a trade show or
I think it was driving back from licensing show or something. We came up with a solid plan.
That's what we actually approached Funko with from the very beginning, was this brand. And they loved the concept, but they're like, okay, well, can you help us with Loungefly? We're like, absolutely. It's the best brand to actually partner with because they're known for their quality. They're known for their fandom.
And I think when I've been a Loungefly fan forever. I had my Loungefly tote long time ago from one of the bags that they made. So I've always been a Loungefly fan, and looking at what the fans love about Loungefly and the type of apparel in my head, it was like it was really a perfect fit because Loungefly is known for their really fun details, their linings, their little embroidery hits and things like that. And these were all types of things that I wanted to include in apparel. So it was just like a really obvious, marriage between the two. It just made so much sense. So when it became an opportunity, it's kind of something that we couldn't pass up. So that's kind of how Stitch Shop came around, and all of our license partners were amazingly supportive, which is awesome.
So I've seen the Disney versions. There obviously sounds like there's more licensed versions coming.
Yes.
But so was it kind of like the Disney bound kind of idea where it's a little bit more casual, or is it something else?
It's not really. So obviously, so when you're Disney bounding, you're wearing something that is inspired by that character's look. And what we did with Stitch Shop is a little more just inspired by the actual stories. So if you look at our Snow White dress, you can see it's like a scene woven, but from far away, it might just look like you're wearing a pretty printed floral dress. And then you get up close and you see that it's not just this little forest print. There's little dwarfs in there. You can see Snow White. And then there's other details on the back. There's a little hidden fairest of them all. There's a little tacked on red bow that's a nod to the bow that she wears in her hair. All these little details. So there's nods to all different parts of the story, opposed to really being you're trying to be inspired by what they're wearing, because that's where we felt like that was kind of already in the market, and we don't want to step on toes. We wanted to really create our own path
Right.
So it's very art driven. We created all of the art from scratch. Stitch Shop is definitely not a place for style guide art. We try to create all new concepts. And like I was talking earlier about Cinderella and the scene from the mice, we created this beautiful AOP that's very much like a vintage like Gucci or Chanel print that you would think of all the chains intertwining, but instead of, paint, it's measuring tapes and ribbons and the birds and the mice peeking out. And then we did the reversible belt where you can either have the measuring tape or you can have just a solid blues depending on the level of
it's so much fun
throw out in the world that day. So yeah, that's it's more about details from the story, I think, and less about replicating like a character look.
But again, quality being very important. The amount of fits that they went through for this took 8 months. I mean, not only just to be size inclusive, but the quality down to the zippers. Like, because this is not an inexpensive line at all. The dresses are 125, 110. And so you have to put that quality. I mean, putting it's on dresses, huge.
That's a big deal.
But like, it's a big deal. But like, we didn't spare the expense on the quality of it, the make, the fabric weight, all of that stuff. I mean, people expect that from Loungefly, so we had to put it in this.
So we actually hired someone who worked with us in our previous life, Desiree Navarro. She's amazing, and she's been working with us on the Stitch Shop side, and she just spent months and months rejecting fabrics. This one's not good enough. We need a better quality fabric. This zipper is not good enough. So we have just really the best materials. And what's been great is as Stitch Shop gets out into the world, we see that fans see the value and they comment and they're posting, which is amazing, right? Because we partnered with influencers in the beginning and they're lovely, but what you need to hear is from the fans that are purchasing the product. You need to hear that they understand what you did. They need to understand the quality of the fabrics and stuff.
You guys should do it behind the scenes, like a video kind of thing to show like what goes into it.
Yeah.
Well, we actually joked when we first were talking to Brian about coming on board, so we should do a like making of the brand or like some sort of weird reality show. Can I get that real quick?
I think we have a question or a comment.
Yes. When it comes to licensing with these brands, how do you go about choosing which ones you'll work with? Are they coming to you first or are you coming to them with ideas?
So when it comes to licensing, do they come to you first? Do you choose them? How do you come up with it?
So I think from the very beginning, I personally always wanted to launch with Disney. I thought that it was a strong brand to launch with and that our Loungefly fans are Disney obsessed. So we went to Disney and pitched the idea, designs, and
it's a natural fit.
Yeah, it was always a natural fit. And then from there, as we were talking to our partners from Loungefly and kind of filled them in on what we were doing, there was a lot of our partners that just wanted to participate in the brand. So that was awesome that people saw the value in what we were doing. And you'll see throughout the year that we have a lot of partnerships beyond Disney that we're really excited about.
That's awesome. If you come up with an alien queen design, I'm in.
What was that?
The xenomorph queen design, I'm in.
Yeah, but like we are going to come out with this because it is still a vintage inspired type of thing. So it's not necessarily just entertainment.
It's trend right as well.
Right. So when we launch Coca-Cola, which is going to be happening very soon, that is a big part of the, that vintage lifestyle as well. And be other licenses that we're doing that are non-Disney because this type of fandom is almost a little less licensed than it is just lifestyle.
Right.
We will see all different types of things being
done.
But
I think what you'll see is the way that we do it, like the way we approach a brand like Coca-Cola or the way we're approaching Disney is in a little bit more of a modern take and a more art-driven take.
More interpretive instead of saying the same Mickey standing boom on this shirt.
Mm-hmm. And so whereas it also launched initially as a ladies kind of brand, but as we go forward, there are going to be, men's.
Are you modeling the men's version?
Yes. This is coming out later this year. We're coming out with a Marvel collection that's going to be coming out. It's going to be Loki and this is Thor, obviously. But in addition to that, we actually have Stitch Shop branded bags too.
Yep.
Oh, neat.
Those are even higher end quality. than our traditional Loungefly brand too.
I think what Stitch Shop bags allowed us to do is Loungefly bags, have always traditionally lived in one price point, and sometimes we're limited in terms of creative ideas and things we want to do. So Stitch Shop is where we can do some really over the top things. We released an Up bag where in the past we had certain limitations to what we could do with that Up adventure book bag, and for Stitch Shop we just threw out all the rules. We had it open on both sides like a real book, everything embroidered. So it's just all the extra bells and whistles that we wouldn't, we put a ton on Loungefly, but it's in some cases where we're a little bit handcuffed by, okay, we're hitting our ceiling. Stitch Shop, we kind of don't have a ceiling. And we try any of our wacky ideas, they can live in Stitch Shop and we can explore those ideas there.
That's pretty cool. That's really great. So, when you say higher end, I mean, a lot of people I'm going to just be that devil's advocate here, just about price points, right? And I find the value and I know what goes in behind it. So, but other people who are not as educated on like the materials or the manufacturing or, what's required, they might say, oh my gosh, a $60 bag. And it's not, a name brand that I know, like a Gucci or a whatever, Coach or something like that. Like, how do you talk about price points when you talk to people if they're a little resistant on that?
So I think in terms of bags, it's really easy to have that conversation, because if you look at like a normal printed mini backpack versus one of our applique embroidered over the top mini backpacks, you can really see the value in everything that we do. We deboss elements on the bag, embroider, we layer appliques, we have 3-dimensional elements, all types of things. And when you're looking at something like Stitch Shop, there's a huge difference and you feel the quality of our clothes. We use stretch twills and stretch satines. Everything is like these great heavier weight cotton span. So our dresses, you'll never have an issue with them being see-through, even though it's a white ground. You don't have to worry about going to the park on a sunny day and your dress is going to be see-through. We source really, really great fabrics that will have enough give that you can eat lunch and splurge on that extra, pretzel at Disneyland, and it's not
eat the whole turkey leg.
Eat it all. Eat all the snacks.
We're not small people.
Yeah,
have something that is comfortable and that feels right.
And it's not just the fabrics, it's putting that extra bit of elastic into the back of the dress, or putting a little bit of elastic into the top of the sleeve, a little bit of shearing for comfort. So when we fit on people, we don't just have them stand there, we have them pretend to drive, we have them and do things that you would normally want to be able to do in a dress, because there's no reason why you can't wear a great dress and still be super comfortable. So I've personally worn all of our dresses and we've heard the feedback that they're really comfortable, and I think you could wear them all day at the park with Converse. You could get in the car, switch to a pair of heels, and go out to a nice dinner. So that's really what we were trying to create with these pieces. But
we're learning too. So obviously with our first launch, we got feedback from some of the fans on the plus side that it's a little short. So what we did, we were actually able to, impact our fall deliveries by actually, increasing the sizing and things like that. Evolving.
We immediately did all the feedback. We worked with an additional fit model or two. Wanted to make sure that we had different body types, because one 2X might not be the same as another 2X or a 4X or a medium for that matter. So what we did, we tried some different body types, people that are more top heavy versus bottom heavy. People carry weight in different areas. So we refit on some different body types, looked at the lengths, looked at the way we graded, looked at all the feedback from the fans. And when our next Disney collection comes out, sorry, that's our puppy Minnie.
Stop. She's like grabbing at me. Oh. Some people have their kids. We have our kid that just won't stop.
This is Minnie. So I told you I love Minnie. So what we did was we were able to immediately react to the fans, which is really important to us just at Loungefly in general. So when our fall Disney collection comes out here in about a month? No, 2 months.
2 months.
In about 2 months. There's a lot of really fun spooky Disney coming, and all of that fan feedback you'll see reflected, whether it's the lengths of the plus size pieces or the addition of size extra small. So across the board, we tried to listen, and hopefully that fall collection will be just right for even more people.
That sounds so amazing. I just like, well, so is it just at Disney, for instance, like you could find the product like at the parks, or is it, where do you find all the Stitch shop?
Right now it is only on loungefly.com, and then we have partnered with Unique Vintage on the Disney. So they're not every collection, but for right now, until we really get a handle on this, it's purely loungefly.com.
That's perfect. That sounds like so much fun. So where is Loungefly going in the next, I mean, you've dropped a couple brands and what have you, but just overall, what would be your vision about like where to take the business, you know, in the next, I don't know, a few months or a year, especially with COVID?
I mean, for us, really, it's focusing in on the categories that are expanding. We don't want to do too much and be a jack of all trades and not being good at certain, right? So we need to be strategic at what they are. Obviously, as being a part of a public company, I can't give much, you know, information more so than anything. But like the categories that are new for us, that are out there, whether it's pins or it's apparel and things like that, that is the stuff that we're going to hone in to make sure that we're making the best quality stuff. We're not going to run and go fast, to be honest with you. We want to get the feedback. We want to see the sell-throughs. We want to see all of that stuff to make sure it's the right thing to do. Because, for example, we launched a small accessories strategy that had our enamel pins, our blind boxes, our lanyards, our keychains. We had stickers and buttons. But you know what? We were looking, stickers and buttons weren't doing as well. So you know what? We're going to shift and do more 4-piece pin sets and our enamel pin blind boxes. Those are on fire. That's how we're going to shift and focus on what we have, but we're not going to be everything to everything.
And I think on the creative side, Derrick mentioned, you know, we do have in my opinion, some of the best artists in the industry. And I think our focus always has to be innovating and pushing, because obviously our brand is out there and people see that it's successful and it's working. So, you know, we are having people imitating what Loungefly is doing. And the best way to combat that is just to push innovation. And, you know, while people are spending time focusing on what we did, we'll be moving forward and innovating. So the creative team definitely spends their time on what's next. What's the next, you know, cool way to interpret, you know, Thor and Loki, or, you know, how do we address this fandom in a new, fresh way? You're always reinventing the wheel. And I think that's where we will focus on, is continuing to drive what silhouettes we use, what materials we use, what art styles we're inventing, and all
Mini
of that.
Backpacks are hot. They may not be forever, but we're going to know what that next body is, because we're going to be continually evolving.
So it also depends on, like, going back to the original point that we were talking about, was like the remote hiring and diverse voices, and just, you know, you don't have to be boxed in now. That talent, that thought process can be anywhere in the world, and you don't have to have them just in your office with you, you know, and so then you're limited to the pool that you can actually hire for all of that innovation, because innovation is not in your back pocket, right? Or sometimes it's not in your backyard. It's somewhere else. So I think that's awesome. So thank you again. So I'm please, you were gonna say something.
Oh no, I'm good. Are you good?
Oh, okay. So you look like you had like something else you wanted to say, and I'm like, I don't want to cut that out. So no, but thank you again for spending some time with us. It really does go quickly. So we're gonna wind this up, but I want you to tell us where to find you, Derrick, you, Liz, you, Loungefly, and Funko. We know where to find them, of course, everywhere. But where are you? Where can we find your goods, and where can we find you on social media?
Well, I mean, in terms of our products, you know, we've got great retail partners. Obviously Disney Parks, we're a big partner with them.
Shopdisney.com.
We have Hot Topic, great partner. Box Lunch, great partner. Barnes and Nobles, GameStop, FYE, Books A Million. Even like,
so if they're not physically open, they're online, right?
Yeah.
Well, where a lot of them are opening, but there is definitely online for a lot of them as well.
Mm-hmm. I want to give a little shout out to our smalls. So we have a lot of boutique retailers that we sell to that are very important to us. We highlight them every Saturday in Shop Small Saturdays. And we did create a directory. So on Loungefly Instagram, under highlights, there's actually a directory to show and highlight all of our small boutique retailers. That a lot of times if something's sold out on our website, you can go and find it there. So definitely check that out, because we love to support them, and they're all listed there and saved in highlights.
And they are blood, to be honest with you. Small accounts mom and pops, little brick and mortars, little websites. I mean, that's what helps legitimize our brand and keeps us growing, keeps us going, and innovate. But yeah, we have great small partners. So
that's awesome.
Loungefly on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under Loungefly, and Stitch Shop is Stitch Shop by Loungefly on Instagram.
So it has its own account. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So know
It
that.
does. Almost 20,000 strong. So
yeah,
wow, that's so fast.
No one needs to follow me, so don't even worry about my Instagram handle. Follow Liz DeSilva Designs on Instagram, everyone, because that's where she's got the good one. You don't need to worry about mine.
We're just going to be watching you go to cons all the time. So
pretty much.
Well, thank you again for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. I love hearing everything that's going on. Congratulations on everything that you guys have been accomplishing. And I look forward to bigger and better things all the time. Whenever you want to come back, come on back. Let's have another conversation.
We are looking forward to getting back to Orlando as well. We can actually say hi. So
yeah, awesome. So we look forward to it. We're going to be welcoming you here. Thank you everyone for spending some time with me. I love, having you come by, and if it's your first time, welcome. And if you're interested, come back again. We always have something else interesting for you on FanGirl Friday Live. So thanks a lot. Bye everybody. Bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.